Exterior decoration. When designing and constructing buildings, a great deal of attention is paid to their appearance, whatever their purpose. It may seem that the materials chosen affect only the aesthetic properties of the building, but this is not always the case. Building methods as well as exterior materials often have an impact on the performance. The workers you see on the screen work with cement. This material has many advantages. First, it has excellent sanitary and technical parameters. This means that the final surface is smooth and even. It also has low dust emissions and is easy to clean. Secondly, a cement finishing ensures a proper level of protection against humidity. The material has a positive effect on thermal and acoustic insulation. And finally, a cement wall looks beautiful and tidy. When being applied to the wall, concrete is a pliable wet substance, and there are a huge number of finishing options. In this case, the workers decorate the facade of the building with horizontal grooves. Interestingly, the talented builders carve them in the cement by hand. To do it, they use metal crossbars as well as common tools like masonry trowels. Working with cement. These images prove what we said earlier. Because cement is indeed used to create a wide variety of decorative elements, the only limit is the designer's imagination. Of course, the harder and more interesting the work, the more time and effort it takes to complete it. And to be honest, it is even difficult for us to imagine how many hours it took to create this honeycomb wall. 3 people work on the decor at the same time. First, they had to walk along the entire surface and draw the future pattern with chalk. Then, the decoration process was divided into 2 stages. The first was laying a dense layer of cement over the lines. The second was cutting out precise lines of cement. In this case, it was even more difficult because half the time the masters had to work in an uncomfortable position. To cut out the hexagons on the bottom of the wall, they have to squat. Stamped concrete. Similarly, builders follow the same principle working with the next material we're going to talk about. However, now the workmen aren't finishing a wall but a floor instead. Stamped concrete is a decorative surface that can imitate stone, wood, paving stone, and much more. Everything depends on the type of the pattern chosen. As you can see in this case, the workers chose a technology that allows them to imitate bricks. Such decorative concrete is a practical and affordable substitute for other common materials. The finished coating withstands a weight load of hundreds of kilograms. And of course, stamped concrete can withstand the friction load, which is important when making a sidewalk. Please note that the original material used to fill the surface has no color. The dye is poured onto the almost finished surface after the stencil has been laid. Paving pedestrian areas. Paving stone is a traditional option for sidewalks and pedestrian areas. For several decades now, it's been in demand in many countries. It can withstand more than 100 years of active use, and that's why this kind of coating is preferred over asphalt. Natural rocks such as marble, granite, or basalt are used to pave the paths. Granite paving stone is the most common. It has a high strength index and has such a dense structure that water doesn't get inside either. Also, the material shows resistance against chemical substances, doesn't absorb particles of dirt, and cleans itself during the rain. Overall, it's not surprising that talented craftsmen all over the world choose this material. By the way, there are several ways to lay paving stones. The one you see on the screen is pretty unusual. The blocks are placed on a pre-prepared dry sand and cement base. At the same time, the master makes sure that there's a gap of 1 or 2 millimeters between the blocks. The gaps are then filled with a special liquid grout. It's poured directly onto the road surface. Finally, the master distributes it evenly so that each joint is filled. Worktop junction. The kitchen countertop should have a perfectly even surface without visible joints, otherwise its durability is not guaranteed. Water, dirt and crumbs get into the gaps, which will sooner or later be a problem. Placing the tabletop along the walls is usually not that complicated, but working the corners as a rule is a much harder process. There are several ways to connect the two parts of the worktop. The first method is the easiest and involves the use of a metal profile. One part of the tabletop is simply attached to the other perpendicularly, but other methods require accuracy and skill from the worker. This method is more complicated. The end pieces of the worktop are processed on a milling machine. The gap in this case is minimal, it's only a fraction of a millimeter. This isn't enough to be visible to the naked eye. And finally, here is the last way to assemble a tabletop. Two parts of the tabletop are cut off obliquely, and as a result, they fit together perfectly as well. Porcelain tiles laying. Here is another interesting finishing material. Workers spend a lot of time working with it and have to put a lot of effort in. We're talking about tiles made of porcelain. Its main feature in this case is its large size. With a standard thickness of 8 to 14 millimeters, the length of the tiles used can reach 320 centimeters, and the width 150 to 160 centimeters. The material stands out for its variability of design. The surface can look like marble, onyx, travertine, metal, cement, as well as natural stone. Porcelain tiles are used to decorate floors, walls, and sometimes even furniture. Thanks to their large size, using these tiles reduces the number of joints. The result is a beautiful, almost seamless surface. Porcelain tiles are similar to any other tile too. First, a special tile glue is applied to the surface. Then each tile is aligned with the surface and the other tiles. After that, the workers only need to grout the joints. Lifting houses. The last video shows a process you've probably never seen before. The workers are lifting a house, which requires a large number of skills and equipment. A house is lifted if there is a problem with the foundation and its integrity could be damaged. When this happens, buildings can sink or tilt to one side. In some cases, the floors even sink indoors. Once the house has been raised, the foundation can be repaired or completely replaced. The procedure is carried out using jacks. However, at first, the house is disconnected from the utility services. Once the jacks are in the selected place, the lifting process begins. It is performed slowly, and gradually an increasing number of supports are placed under the construction. Hey, stop being lazy, it's time to use that brain of yours. Welcome to Brain Time. Incredible facts from the past, the present, and even the future. The power of nature and wild animals, amazing facts and unsolved mysteries. You'll find all this and much more here. Subscribe now, you won't regret it.